Now, I know many of us has heard all the time that we should plan for the future, but I want to start talking to you about why you should future for the plan. Now, I want you to be very, very clear that all of us have something that we want to do in the future, something we want to accomplish, some of the greatest goals that we might ever want to achieve. And we think about how in the future we want to be better than we are now. We want to make more money than we are now. We want to be more healthy and fit than we are now. We want to be more connected and have better relationships than we do now. Everything in the future is important to us, right? We are always, again, realizing that it's hard to live in the present because time is always moving. As soon as you say present, it's past, right? Time is always moving. So when you think about the future, this is something that we all long to kind of try to have some level of control of. And I want you to think about for a minute why you shouldn't think in the mindset that is traditional of planning for the future, but we need to future for the plan. And what do I really mean by that? Now, I want you to consider a few things. So let me take you to my whiteboard for a minute, and I want you to consider most of us, when we start to think through and we say, you know, there's different things that we want to accomplish, right? And we think about, okay, hey, I'm going to get a certain amount of things done. And maybe I'm thinking about, okay, I want to build a $1 million business. Okay. I'm going to build $1 million. Let's say that was one of the things I want to do. Let's say I want to lose 30 pounds, right? And let's say I want to have a healthy relationship. Okay. Now, this is how we tend to look at things. We think about the things that we want, right? And we start where we are, right? And we start where we are and we think about how do I then go out, right? And I begin to make a plan, right? To take me to the future that I want. That's how we tend to think. Now, I want you to understand something, that when we think about the planning for the future, let's break down a little bit the issue of understanding the present and the future. Okay. So this is a really important concept. I love the approach that the Arthur Benjamin Hardy talked about in his book, 10X is faster than 2X, or greater than 2X, or easier than 2X, because he starts talking about how you can create 10 times the results, and how it's easier to do that than trying to get 2 times the result. And in some of those, ideologies around that, some of the things that I want you to consider is that we often think that we have to start in the present, right? And think about what we want in the future. And this is why we say plan for the future, okay? But the thinking that I want you to understand and kind of rally behind is to understand, if you really want certain things in the future, the big mistake that people make is they start thinking about how to make a plan to accomplish something that they don't really know how to do. But what you start to realize is, I need to look at the future, right? And bring it to the present, right? So I need to learn how to take the future, right? And begin to plan my behavior in the present to be able to become what I want to become in the future. Now, I know it seems like a play on words here, but it's really, really key, because it's this little shift in your thinking that will shift and change your ability to actually really begin to create the success that you really want. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's go back to our scenario here. And in our scenario, we were talking about the individual, right, that basically wants to have a goal that they want to meet, right? So we talked about the individual here, right? this individual here, they really want to create this goal. We talked about all the things they want to do. Now, what you think about, let's think about this same individual, right? And think about what, again, one of those goals of building $1 million business, right? $1 million business, right? Another goal was to, let's say, wanting to lose 30 pounds, we talked about. And another goal was to actually begin to build a healthy relationship. So, the difference in thinking is to start understanding and filtering your behavior based on understanding how the person that I actually want to, when I think about the goal that I actually want to achieve, to tie that to the person that I need to be so that I can achieve that thing. So this means that if I want to build $1 million business, I have to start asking myself some hard questions about how I operate now in the present. So I'm going to use the future to shape my present by always asking, what would $1 million business owner do? Right? So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get more information about this type of person, right? That I'm trying to become. Because I know I want to become that in the future. And then I'm going to filter my decisions, right? So as I look and I kind of create me a filter here, the decisions I make, right? They got to come through this filter. And let me make this filter a little bit more narrow here, right? So they got to come through this filter so that I really begin to realize some things are not going to fit, so that I could get to this bottom part and get another color here. So I can get to this bottom part here, right? Which is really my goal. So the problem is we start planning for the future without thinking about the person we need to become and starting to show up now as the person that we want to be in the future. So if I want to be more healthy and I want to be the person that has lost 30 pounds and is in shape, that person that will do that has more discipline. They're able to make decisions about their food. They're able to eat more nutritiously. They're going to really make sure that they're more intentional about some of their behaviors across the week as it relates to health. And so I have to understand that and start to filter the decisions I'm making now in the present by the person I want to become in the future. So the future is creating the plan for my present versus the present trying to plan to be something in the future without dealing with the individual that has to change. So this is the secret to this. It's the individual, right? So people want the healthy relationship, right? They want the healthy relationship, but they don't think about how would the person be who is a person who has a healthy relationship. What type of communication would they have? How much patience would they have? How much discipline would they have? How considerate would they be? And if you start thinking about who that person is, right, then you start to use that to dictate your present. That I have to start acting like this now to become the person that can have a healthy relationship. So because we don't understand that thinking, we live in the present, mostly being shaped by the past, and we never get to the future that we want. Let me say that again. We live in the present, being more shaped by the past, and we never get the future that we want because we failed to ask the critical question. Who is the person that would be willing to do that thing that I'm trying to achieve? And this leads me to a really critical epiphany, right? And that is be, do, have. Now, here's where we live. What I want to have is, right, the $1 million business. Right? What I want to have is the loss of 30 pounds. What I want to have is a healthy relationship. Okay? These are the things I want to have. The challenge is that we normally make the mistake because of what we want to have. We spend all of our attention on what we need to do, right? So here's where we start looking at, what do I need to do? Maybe I can get some training. Maybe I can learn a secret, right? About how to, maybe I can join a program. And then we do those things and we wonder why we still fail. Why we still never meet the goal? Why we still never able to accomplish the thing? Why we're still never to be able to be where we want? And that's because we are focusing on the wrong thing. We're focusing on more stuff to do, to have what we want, but we forgot to go back further to understand, who do I need to be so that I would be willing to do so that I can have what I want. So here we have to deal with the person. And this is why I have to start acting like the person, the thinking, the discipline, the character, the mindset. If I can tap into that today and start to live that way, I'm going to end up creating the future that I'm actually wanting. So it was the future, right, that created my present, because I started to live in the present based on who I want to be in the future. And I focused on the person that I need to become here, right? And I start thinking now about what I can do to become that person now. And as I become that person now, I'm going to start doing the things that that type of person would do. And it's going to lead to having the things that that type of person would be able to have. This is what we're talking about, of how to use the future to dictate the present so we can become the person who can actually do the things that gives us what we actually want. I hope you understand this. This is so important in being the CEO of your life. And once again, make sure no matter what you do, don't let anything stop you from getting the future that you want. But if you want that future, you got to ask the hard question. How are you showing up today based on who you say, or I should say what you say you want in the future? How are you showing up today? And have you become the person that is willing to do the thing so you can have the things that you actually want? And that's what we focus here on URCO. It's not just what we need to do, but becoming the person that will really do it. And so again, make sure you still be the CEO, charge, expand, and overcome, and keep running the business of you so you can have those things that you really want. And it is right there. You just got to be willing to make that step, and you got to be willing to think about tomorrow today. Until next time, I'll see you soon.